go ahead and call the Scott County Board of Adjustment meeting into order at 5:37, 5:38, give or take a few. All right, Charlie, you want to swear in those that want to speak, please?
You stand and raise your right hand, please. As few of you as possible.
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the statement you're to make tonight to be the truth, the best of your information and belief?
All right.
You gotta defer the minutes to later?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll defer those till
That's
after
fine.
we're done with these. We will go ahead and start on the first application. Matt, you're up.
And just so we're all on the same page, items A and F on the agenda are postponed. We won't be hearing those tonight. I don't know why I did this. So that leaves us with application S-2021-25, Jackie and Rachel Willoughby. They're applying for a conditional use permit for a secondary single-family residence. All right, secondary single-family residence for a family member at 604 Stonetown Road. The property is zoned A1 and they have about 58 acres. Like with many of these same type of applications, they have sufficient acreage to continue to meet our density requirement of 1 residence per 5 acres. It shouldn't really have that much, if any, impact on neighboring property owners, given the size of their property. We do recommend, as always, that the 2 residences be at least 100 feet apart. That way, if they need to sell one or choose to sell one later, they can subdivide without needing to come back for a variance. We're not 100% sure about the location of the second residence, since they didn't submit a drawing to us showing where it was going to be, but we did include that as one of the conditions. So we do recommend approval of the application pending, that issue of the placement being resolved to the satisfaction of our conditions. With the 6 total conditions, there's 5 that are listed in the staff report, and after talking with building inspection earlier today, they would like for there to be a 6th condition that you can kind of see on the screen here. Just reminding them that they need to obtain an address through the GIS department in our office. There's no cost to that. It's usually pretty easy, but they just need to obtain an address before they apply for their building permit.
Okay. Any questions for Matt? Are the Willoughbys here?
No, it does not seem so.
All right, well, that answers that question. All right, any other questions from the board?
And assuming no problem from any neighbors, or you've heard nothing from
I didn't
anyone?
hear anything from any.
It's 58 acres, yeah, okay.
Anybody else that wants to speak on this application at all? Okay. In that case, I will entertain a motion from the board.
I will make a motion that we approve application S-2021-25, a conditional use permit for a secondary single-family residence at 604 Stonetown Road, subject to the staff recommendations.
Adding in the 6th as well.
Adding in the 6th, sorry.
Okay. All right, I have a motion by Ms. Sonia. Kim?
I second motion.
Kim seconds the motion. Any questions or comments?
Just make sure they follow up to make sure they have this.
Yeah, the placement.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. There are none, motion carries. All right, moving on, Matt.
Thank you. The next application is S-2021-26. It is for a variance request to reduce the front yard setback from 50 feet to 25 feet along Jalomic Lane. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. To allow for an accessory structure in the front yard. I think I have these out of order on the PowerPoint, so we can maybe ignore them. We'll just ignore that for now.
We skipping 26? Okay.
No, this is 26. The screen is not correct right now. The property is zoned A1. It's about 1 acre in size, and it is a corner lot that fronts along Lyle Road in Jalomic Lane. So the applicant is requesting the variance so they can construct a detached garage. I guess we would also have to consider whether or not to approve or to allow an accessory structure in what is technically the front yard. So corner lots, the zoning ordinance assigns them 2 front yards. The zoning ordinance doesn't normally allow for accessory structures to be closer to the street than a house. The applicant's house faces Lyle Road, so they want to build their detached garage, I guess, next on the side of their house, but the ordinance counts that as a front yard, if I'm explaining that correctly,
Okay.
or clearly. So when we look at variances and whether or not to approve them, we look at KRS 100.243 for those findings that are necessary for granting a variance. I didn't find that approval of the variance would adversely impact the public health, safety, or welfare. It's possible, I guess, that it might alter the character. I looked around, at least on their aerial imagery, to see if there were any other houses in that neighborhood that had accessory structures sort of in the front yard. I didn't see any, but I also assumed that if any of the neighbors had any issues with it affecting the character, that they would be here tonight. So if they are here, they can speak to that this evening. So as I mentioned, it's a corner lot, so it has 2 front yards. It's also a 1 acre lot, so it is a bit smaller than a lot of than I guess what the A1 zone setbacks were designed for. So the applicant has sort of lost a bit of space that would typically be usable and usable by, you know, some of his neighbors, just to some of those factors that are really just issues in the zoning ordinance. So, you know, I do find that a strict application of the regulations might deprive the applicant of a reasonable use of the property that's enjoyed by others in that area. So I do recommend approval of the variance with the findings that are there in the staff report and with the 3 conditions that are in the staff report, mostly being continue to follow all state, local, federal laws, abide by the zoning ordinance, and make sure you apply for a building permit before any construction.
Any questions for Matt?
Mhm.
All right. Are you Mr. Newhouse? I am. You're stuck with us. Anything you would like to add with that?
Pretty much good.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Newhouse? All right. In that case, I will entertain a motion. I'm sorry, is anybody else here to speak on this on the back? All right, in that case, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve application S 2021-26, variance to reduce the front yard setback from 50 to 25 foot along Jolinek Lane, for Scott Newhouse, subject to staff recommendations.
All right, motion's been made.
I second the motion.
Kim seconds the motion. Any questions or comments? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. There are none. Motion carries. So you will
Enjoy your
you
day.
get all your paperwork
Yeah,
for them.
I'll send an email with your approval letter tomorrow or early next week.
No future.
Thank you for waiting so
Thank you.
patiently.
Yeah, we
I'm
appreciate
sorry.
you.
I really am sorry.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks.
you either wait or you didn't have a meeting, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Oh, they all said, no, we're glad to have you.
Yeah.
All right, our last application is S-2021-27. It is also a variance application. This one is to reduce the side yard setback from 50 feet to 15 feet at 546 Gunnell Road. The project site is zoned A1, it's our agricultural zoning district. It's a 5-acre lot with access from Gunnell Road. You know, I didn't see any previous Board of Adjustment applications on this site as well. And once again, we'll look at KRS 100-243 or .243 to examine the findings that are necessary for granting a variance. So I didn't find that the variance would adversely impact the public health, safety, or welfare. I also didn't find that it would alter the character of the general vicinity. I guess the existing structures are set back a good ways from the road, so I mean, I doubt it would impact the character. And it doesn't seem like it would have that much of an impact on the neighboring property owners either, since the proposed structure is far enough back from, you know, their existing residence. It would sort of be near to the wooded area on that adjoining lot to the north. So when I looked at the sort of the shape and size of their lot, the lot itself around the part where the house is, I measured to be about 200 feet wide, which makes it, you know, difficult for a reasonable use of a property in the A1 zoning district, when you've got a lot that's a little bit narrower like that, especially at that point where you're trying to build the house. Typically, we would require a new lot to have 250 feet of width wherever there was buildable area. This lot is, you know, as you can see, especially as you go back further in the lot, it tapers down quite a bit. So I did find that sort of the shape of the lot would have made it difficult, combined with, as the applicants laid out in their supplemental materials, the presence of other pre-existing buildings in the septic system make it difficult for them to fit the proposed addition within the 50-foot setbacks. So I do recommend approval of the application with the 3 conditions that are listed there in the staff report.
Any questions for Matt?
Any comments from neighbors from the neighborhood?
Not that I know of, no.
Matt, I actually do have one just quick question.
Yes.
Neither here nor there, but it being that this is a separate structure, is there any issues that we're gonna face later on down the road with sewer, water, things like that on that actual property? I know sewer's not our thing, we don't get into that, but,
I guess, sorry,
so it's on is that a septic or is that on the main line?
this one would be on septic.
So is there any issues that we're gonna face later on? Yeah, is there any issues with like a septic, since it's gonna be technically a separate structure? I'm assuming it's gonna tie into the same septic system.
I would assume that if it has, restrooms, things like that, I assume it would tie into the same system. I don't know for sure.
Okay. I'll back.
So I got approval from I guess, whoever the.
You can come up to
You can come up here.
So what you're talking about, I went ahead and had to get approval from, just to put the permit together from
Okay.
Wedco. And Wedco approved it. They said we would not alter the lagoon, because when you alter a lagoon, you actually contaminate the area. And they said the size of the lagoon dictates that you can add another room or
Okay,
another
well, that,
bathroom.
you answered my question, so. that was
Mine
perfect.
too.
Yeah,
Cause this
thank you.
really wouldn't add any more than if they were in the house itself.
Right.
Just with the one person, right? Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Nope.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion.
I make
There's only 2 of you.
I make a motion that we approve S 2021-27 to add the additional dwelling on the property to reduce the setback. To reduce the setback,
It would just be to reduce the
sorry,
setback. Yeah.
reduce the setback,
All right, motion has been made by Kim.
following your recommendation, staff approval.
All right,
I'll second it.
second by Sonia. Any questions or comments? All in favor state aye. All opposed by the same. There are none. Motion approved.
You're welcome.
Thank you for waiting. Thank you.
That was worth the wait, wasn't it?
No, I put it all the permit stuff.
By the way, we read your letter. Thank you. All right, we do have the motions to approve, or the minutes to approve from the last meeting, because I just pushed it to the back.
Oh, that's right, I have,
So we'll need to approve those minutes.
I'll move that we approve the meeting.
Sonia makes a motion. Kim?
Second.
Second by Kim. Questions, comments? I don't think so. All approved by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, denied, same sign. There are none. Motion carries. Moving on.
Woo-hoo.
Meeting adjourned,
Yep.
5:50.
I'm Kim.
I'll just keep that between us, all right?